the time today. That's really beautiful. Thank you so much.
Okay, it's good. It is good. It is good. How are you doing?
I was doing very, very well. The last time we spoke about my family, we that was really hugely powerful, and you were very emphatic that nothing that was going on, all my preoccupation with my son and my daughter and the family, nothing was more important than my search for truth.
Yes.
So I was able to set better boundaries. I was able to be less obsessed and focused. Although there are things that were really difficult and dilemmas and decisions that came up for me, which did obsess me for a while, but more as kind of like what's my ethical responsibility, those types of things. But for the most part, I was able to relatively set boundaries compared to what I used to. Then my son and daughter-in-law, I'm going to try to condense the story and get rid of all the irrelevant details, so without all the backstory. But the essence of it was after a lengthy process, they were evicted. They have two kids, a 2-year-old and an almost 1-year-old. It's not only that they don't have an income. They don't, even though they think that my son is going to do real estate and make some money. They certainly can't come to me, even if I wanted them to. I don't have the space. I have a 2-bedroom apartment with no room for another 4 people. And additionally, I have become really concerned about my son's mental health. He's become increasingly unstable.
What can you what can you do about it? Any of this?
Well, there are a couple of questions I have. One is, how to be centered and at peace within myself. The practical questions are the possibility of my co-signing for an apartment for them so they can have some space of their own, some breathing space, but I would have the income to help them out towards an apartment with the possibility that with some breathing space, they can stabilize a little bit. She can get some help for her phobias. My son can get some help, and maybe there can be some restfulness. I've also gotten very attached to the grandchildren. She might end up going home to move in with her mother, in which case their marriage will be over. And I probably will not have access to my grandchildren. Her parents hate us, hate me, hate my ex-husband, hate my son, and want nothing more than to see the two of them get divorced and us to have nothing to do with any of them. I don't know how far to extend myself. I don't know how not to let this. And I guess the central question is like this. When you said there's nothing more important than my search for truth. So I was thinking of the story of the Zen monk who, and here's how I heard the story. I don't know if you know the story, but it's a story of a Zen monk who's in a monastery and doing whatever monks do all day, gardening and cooking and meditating. And his sister in town gets pregnant, and she's not married, so she goes to the monastery with a baby, and she gives the monk to the baby, and she says, "Here, please raise the baby. I can't raise this child." So the monk has no ego. He doesn't resist. He just, okay, and he just takes in the baby, and he raises the baby. Then a few years later, she comes and she says, "I'm married now and my husband wants to adopt the baby." And without any ego, she just he gives back the baby. So I think about how the monk, it was his dharma to raise this baby. So I asked myself, when you said none of this family stuff is more important than my search for truth, is my search for truth simply I meditate, I go to Satsang, all that stuff? I there as I've been doing for so many years, or
No, that's not what really I mean.
Being there for this family, maybe that is my dharma. So that's really my central question, other than the practical question. Better.
You say that may be your dharma, and maybe it's your karma, not your dharma. Your dharma can change. I don't know. I want to tell you something. What I say to you, that in your case, the best thing is your search for truth, because even from the way that you relate about these things. I see you're too highly involved in their life. And that may not be a good thing. You're looking with a mother's eye, and a mother's love, but it's not enough. It has to be attended with some wisdom. I just feel that from the way that you relay what's happening with you, I see that, and the degree of detail that you share, I see that you seem to be very highly involved with their life, and that you're quite pulled into the things that you see, that you find difficult with, and so on. And I don't feel that, although you have clearly got a lot of love for your family, your children, your son, and your grandchildren, and so on, I feel that somehow the love by itself is not enough. I said this to you before, and that the wisdom part of it, which perhaps in some cases can be a sense in which you become more detached, will have a much greater contribution to the quality of your life and theirs also, because this amount of involvement, I don't think that you get the proper picture of things. I think you're too much in that, and I know that your feeling is that, of course, you're so much caring that nothing happens to your grandchildren, and you do the best you can, and so on. So it was from this point of view that I say your highest thing should be your search for truth, and not to try and get your family together. Now that may sound a bit cold, because it sounds like what as you said, should I just go walk in the park, do my meditations and stuff like that? I think that even that is not enough. You're doing your meditation and going for walks in the park and praying. It's not enough also. You just need to somehow be pulled out of that whole way of looking and that identity that you're wearing, and come fully into your total presence. Because the picture that you're seeing in your son's life is also shaped by your present idea and identity. That identity is shaping what you are experiencing. And I feel that it just becomes more of a mess. I don't think that independent of you, I think probably your children will have a life that will probably do quite well anyway. They will just have to go through the lessons they have to learn, and there's something to do with your love for them, which somehow is sometimes interfering with their growth. Maybe your son has got to. I think life already without you, is teaching and training and guiding and reorientating them, because if you say they lost their place, they're this, and then you jump in to kind of patch things up. I don't think that these things are accidents in life. I think that they are opportunities for lessons and growth. And perhaps it can be sometimes, I don't know if specifically in your case, but there are times when a mother's interference or intention to help gets in the way of them, having to learn the painful lessons that they need to learn and to get out of things in their own strength. And if you think, well, I just want to get them on their feet and just to see that they have some clear space where they can get their life together, that's what you hope for. But sometimes it's unlikely to happen, because it seems as though your son has become a bit, maybe he knows that, his final card in his pocket is you, that you're not going to let things go so bad. So he can sort of like, just kind of relax a bit, because all you have to do is just to cry, Ma, look what's happening to me, and here you come. I just feel something there is not, it's not good. And this is why I say to you, you need to focus more on finding the truth, not just on your spirituality, because I don't know what you mean by your spirituality. Sometimes your spirituality can get in the way if it is just another kind of method that you cope with in life. I don't want to get you to cope. I want you to be fully, you want it to be a Buddha in your life, not merely a skilled parent, a better wife, a better mother, a better grandmother, but to be the Buddha that you are. That's where I come into it, like this, from this point of view.
I guess on the practical level, and then on the Buddha level, okay, I guess I have two questions. I don't know whether my son and daughter-in-law have the mental, cognitive ability to learn the lessons they need to learn. I think they're both very unstable
Please, can I
and
tell you something?
disturbed.
They are in life. They are life. They are alive. You got to get on with your life. And sometimes things have to crash. You are in life. If they were not suited to this life, they would not be here. They have things to learn. You know, they have things to learn. And I feel that that view that you have is compassionate, but it's not really helpful for them. You may think, actually, sometimes you don't know the games that are being played. So my what I'm saying is that sometimes maybe your own son, he is used to you. He knows that you probably won't allow them, your compassion, your love, you will not allow them to hit bottom while you have the chance to participate. I don't think he's even caring that much about you. Maybe he's a very selfish person. I don't know. That just knows that you will not let them go that far, and that can really make someone very lazy. It can make them very, like, don't stand up. And that's why I say sometimes people have to crash, and they have to grow from failure, because they cannot just grow from surviving. Sometimes things have to come your way. You have to experience sometimes, what it is like when you don't act the time when you should act on something. So I
What if
feel.
he becomes violent?
What if he becomes what?
Yeah, I'm afraid that he will snap. I'm afraid that he'll become violent. I'm afraid he has a level of rage
Those
building
thoughts,
up. I'm afraid
yes,
he'll
and
abuse
maybe
the
maybe he
children.
would,
I've seen
maybe he would. But it's very unlikely. I think that this is a card that's being played that keeps you in a trap. You're in a kind of an emotional trap of your own concepts, that you're afraid that if you're not doing what you're doing now, which on some level I think is hurting your heart to do it, that somehow you're just preventing a catastrophe, and you're going to be caught in this trap
right.
a bit, you see. And I feel that the way that your son plays with you, maybe with other people he cannot play like that, because they just would not have it. And when you are with people that your game doesn't work, you change your game. But he doesn't need to change his game when he knows how you play your cards is like this. Anyway, that's one point of it. Because I don't feel I need to spend the time talking about your son, but I talk about it because so much of your energy has shifted over to your son's life, and this is why I say you need to bring it back to your life. And it's not selfish in this case. It is not selfish to put there, because actually you're not living at your best at the moment. You're pouring a lot of energy out, and I don't know how much is coming in through your meditation and stuff, because I feel that what needs to happen is you need to come completely out of this strong identity, which is not allowing your life to flow with the spontaneity, with the freshness, with the joy that is your natural life. You're too busy putting out fires.
Yeah, you say you don't know how much is coming in through my meditation. I haven't even made the time the last few weeks since they arrived to do much meditation.
Yes.
Or do the walks in the park, or things that have been nurturing to my spirit.
And I
not
tell you
just as
something,
escape.
yeah, sometimes maybe it's such a good sign that your life, you only have a 2-bedroom house, because I don't know, maybe if your son and your daughter-in-law and their children came into your house, you would have to come to a much faster solution than now. I feel that somehow, in one way, I can say you're fortunate because you can preserve your space, and it would be the worst thing. But maybe sometime the worst thing could turn out to be a good thing, because then you would not have space to keep on creating explanations and excuses for them, because it would just become unbearable. I think that they have made their life unbearable. And so, and then somehow you're the one bearing up their life. And I don't say this anything personal to your son from my point of view. It's just feel like the scales have tipped way over, and it's not in anybody's favor actually. And you have spent this past 20 minutes only talking about your son. Where are you in this? just only about your son's problem. And again, I feel this is an indication that you're not enough present in your life. It's like you're giving from a disabled position, emotionally and spiritually, because you're not in your strength.
Yeah, I know. I'm not. You're right. I'm debilitated. I'm not happy in anything. I feel no joy when I wake up in the morning. I feel dread, only dread. I feel a sense of doom. And I don't know what you mean by my identity, but I feel like I'm a failure as a mother. And
For instance, like
I
that.
feel, pardon me?
For instance, like that, after all of this, after all this pouring out, you still feel like a failure as a mother. And this is that's just like too much, because you're doing everything you can, but what's life showing you? You cannot fix their problem. And so much of your energy is going there, and none of it is coming back to you. It's not like you're getting any good signs, like they're making use of your energy. You're putting so much attention with them. You're with so much good vibes you're sending towards them. And your daughter-in-law's parents, they don't like you. They don't, it's like, where are you winning here? And it cannot be that life just puts you here just to slave your energy out and then to be completely whacked. And then, these people look at you and go, haha, look at you. You're not doing anything for us. You're so tired. You're never here for us. And you need to stop that. And all of this is because you're holding an image in your mind that without your help, your son is going to flip and do something terrible. And I can't guarantee he won't, but I really doubt that. I think a lot of this is your life in their life. And sometimes they have to experience things coming. They have to experience something. And life is wiser than you, because it is there. It knows what to put to them. And he's brought that life upon himself, actually. And you are bringing this life upon yourself, actually, as well.
What about the children? I guess if it were just my son, I wouldn't be having this dilemma. But there are two very sweet, very tiny, and very innocent children who are in a very potentially dangerous situation. All of my anguish is about them, not about my son. They're at risk. I'm afraid of abuse of them.
I will tell you something, that they are probably at greater risk in continuing to be with parents who are constantly draining their own parent in the long run, teaching them how to scrounge and how to really be a really poor expression of parenthood in themselves, by just sometimes the children are far much more understanding. They're far more grasping the point. They know that their parents are in trouble. They know that something is not right, something is not flowing, And I feel that in life, always the mind has a trump card. It always has a card to play to keep you being worried, to keep you fretting, to keep you thinking about the what ifs and if onlys. And I don't know. It's just, I can say energetically, I just feel like your life is just being sucked away by some vampires or something. I just feel like this. And it is with your cooperation, I have to say, because they can't demand that you help them. But something is feeding into this neediness, this clinginess, this kind of poor way of living. And I don't feel that your contribution is really helping them. I really don't. It's all based upon fear. All your contribution is based upon fear. And I don't see how that really generates, something. I really feel that the whole thing needs to change. Their way of living should change, and your way of living should change. But it's not going to change only from a practical standpoint. I can't tell you, stop doing this, stop doing that. My thing to tell you is to bring your focus now to yourself. Now, let's change the conversation for a little bit and bring it back onto you, where you're at. Don't tell me something. Tell me something independent of your son here.
As I said, I'm drained. You're right about the joy. You're right that I'm unhappy. You're right that there's always a dilemma on my plate. There's always, and now the latest one is, okay, what if there's abuse? But there's always, I always feel like I'm one step ahead of the sheriff. Are you familiar with that idiom, an American idiom? The sheriff.
Yeah, the fugitive.
Yeah, like a fugitive. I'm one step ahead of the law. Something's always chasing me, and always there's always something I'm fearing and running away from. In terms of some dire thing that's about to happen.
Yeah.
I don't feel.
Your real life is not a story. Just hear me. Your real life is not a story. And all you're talking about is a story. Can you go to the place where there's no story? Just for the moment. Just stop for a moment like this. Now. To be now. Because all your stories is not about now. Everything is about past. And everything is about future. But just be now. And don't touch any story for a moment.
Saying I'm going into my heart area and just redirecting and tuning into that space within my chest.
Just be there. There's nothing to tune into. Just be there. You're already here. There's nothing to do here. Don't start doing mothering here now. There's no husband here. There's no wife here. There's no mother here. There's no grandmother here. There's no yogi here. There's no practicer here. Just be in this recognition for the moment. And you're not blocking anything out. You're just being present as yourself. We really have got to get used to your presence without a story. You are not a story. Your real life is not a story. You are the beingness. Be one with your beingness. That's all. We don't need any spanners or screwdrivers, no hammers or saws here. Just be here. Your mind doesn't want you to be here. Your mind is not accustomed to be here. Your mind is always telling you, listen, you got things to do, life to change, you have things to protect, things to defend.
I can feel that sense of emptiness.
The experience of the emptiness, the recognition of the emptiness does not belong to a person. It is just, there's just a space which is there. There's no person particularly there. The memory or the habit of thinking of a person tends to want to sit in that place. But there's just a silence there. There's no identity there. You know, the story of my family and my life, that's not what's here.
You see, what it feels like is I'm seeing or experiencing, it's like there's an empty circle where one, like the arc of it, like the perimeter or whatever it's called of a circle, the circumference is, part of it is in my chest. It's almost like a circle within which I am.
You're going to have to stop describing. No. Don't try and describe anything. It's your mind is still trying to control something here. Just be. Your mind is still trying to navigate and to set up some coordinates as to what is going on and what it is. None of this. That's just your mind again. Just leave that. You are just here. Nothing more to it. And it's like somehow your mind is going to find it very unbearable because it's so used to doing something, changing something, fixing something, correcting something, becoming something. So you have to just bear that tension for a moment, but see that this is independent of that struggling mind. You're just here. And you're not waiting. Just pay attention to that. What I'm speaking about is not a waiting state. It just is. Now, the habit to identify as somebody who is doing this is strong, and it's going to try and reassert itself. Like, okay, I can see this. I can see that there's a bit of space here. I can see that there's a bit of silence here. And the more I go in, I say, no, stop it. That's not it. That is the mind still taking on the role that there's somebody who something is happening to. There is just the space of being. Acknowledge that. Be present and be one with that. That's all. But the habit is saying, yeah, but what do I do with this? And how can this help me to become more? And I'd like to spend more. And all this chatter is so quick to build up. And you need to be aware of that chatter, of that rescue remedy reaction, and not identify with that. This is not mother. This is not wife. This is not girlfriend. This is not grandmother. This is not this. And the invitation here is to turn your attention, let your attention just be present with this. You're here, that's all. Discomfort will come up because your mind is accustomed to being in an agitated posture. And it feels, no, I can't bear this. I need to do something. But that is also observed. Then leave it. Don't go further into that. Don't go walking with that. Just stay as you are. This is your natural state. And don't be waiting for something to happen. Or maybe your mind will just like to say, okay, fine, I get that. Okay, now, but can I go back to the problem? No, you can't. I don't want to get into a problem discussion with you. I want to be with your Buddha being. Your mind is accustomed to asserting an identity which is completely untrue, unreal. It's a suffering state. And nobody's helped by this, and certainly not you, not your family. You want to do something that will be good for your family? Just be true and be present as yourself. Naturally, some distance will begin to show itself. This is very simple. You don't have 1, 2, 3 things to do here. Simply acknowledge your own self-presence. That's it. Be present with it. Something that's been missing. Something missing. Missing this. Going back to the activity. Going back to being, super mom, super wife, super life. And just draining. It's like hemorrhaging energy. And then stop. Only you can stop it. And not that you're going to go and try and stop what's happening with your family, what's happening with... No, don't stop them. Stop you. Stop in yourself. Just be present. That's all. It's not a suppressed state. It's a very spatial state, very spacious state. And it is not an imagined state. Not you're creating here. Paying attention to yourself.
It's hard not to describe that I'm feeling this or I'm feeling that.
Say again.
Or I'm experiencing. I said it's hard not to start describing, oh, I'm feeling this or experiencing that.
It's okay. You can say that, but at the same time, you must also be what you're describing. Because otherwise, if you give it to your mind will create a distance. It will turn it into a kind of commodity. It will turn it into a kind of... It will objectivize it, and it will create a sense of separation. If you speak about it, you can say, yes, This is what is present here. This is fine. Then you can do that then.
Drumming, buzzing, vibrating, tingling. Very much with feeling what's in the body, like sitting on the couch or needing the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And just the kind of spaciousness.
Yes. And these functions are okay. What you are detecting, what you're observing, what you're experiencing, this is fine. This is just natural stuff, the normal stuff. This is not disturbing you. It's just you're just picking up now, tuning in to listening to your own body a little bit, the movements of the vital force in the body, the movement of the organs and their own energetic this is fine. This is not a normal thing. But at least it's bringing you back in tune and in real time, even with your biological functioning. That is okay. Now you want to go to loo, you go to loo, so and so and so. But you see, your mind is not being projected outward towards someone else's life. Don't be in someone else's life. You're just here, present. And of course, as you put attention here, you're not creating, you're finding that naturally, this is the power of your own attention or your self-attention. Already there's a kind of fizzing inside your being. It's like things start to try and, it's like the being wants to heal itself from all this noise, all this nonsense, all this tension. And immediately it sets to work to kind of harmonize all your energies together. You're not doing anything at all. This tingling, this spaciousness is a natural phenomenal response to your own self-awareness. When the attention is distracted from this, it just goes off into the red light district, basically, of the mind. You bring your attention back here, simply. And it's like your attention is actually observing that there are movements taking place in your dynamic aspect, in your body and mind, that are, there's a movement there, but it's at least it's present. It's not speculation. It's like you're actually in tune and in real time with your bodily functions, your organic function, your mental and intuitive functions. That's fine. Even here, don't identify. Simply observe. And don't try to observe. Just be. More put the attention just on being than observing anything. The observing will happen naturally and spontaneously. But don't identify as an observer. Just you are being. Beingness is here like this. Also, it is not a waiting state. It's not waiting for something to happen. There's no need, because you're in real time. And the time is filling itself naturally with its own functioning. The mind is not involved in it.
That's hard for me because I'm always feeling that this can't be it. There has to be some great merging or some great...
Yes, okay, who is saying this? Who is saying this? Slow down, listen to my voice. Who is saying this? Who is believing this?
Something that's dissatisfied.
Something that is dissatisfied?
Yeah.
Yes. See if you can identify if there's a dissatisfied entity in you, or if it's just a thought that somehow has been bought from time to time and then gathering flesh and bones around it. Can it be anything other than just a thought?
Who feels guilty when I say no to when I think, who feels guilty, who has this identity?
Okay, and what happened?
There's this sickly feeling in my stomach, like the sense of revulsion at we'll call it myself. But also space in my chest, but loathing in my stomach.
Yes. Don't go with that right now. Just stay with just the awareness of it. Just stay with the awareness. Stay as awareness. Don't tie up awareness with any relationship. Just be the awareness itself. The light in which all these things can be perceived, but there isn't sufficient glue to create any identity with them. Look as though you're looking as upon a stranger's life. Just look. Don't judge. The revulsion naturally maybe is coming there because at some deeper level you've been far too panicked and afraid to actually feel your revulsion. Something maybe feel revolted at the fact that you're not functioning from your own natural happiness, and you feel that you are being provoked in some way to have to act in an emergency mode and not to be able to be happy in yourself. So somehow it can be like some revulsion comes up like that. But don't go into that right now, because your awareness is not locked into that necessarily. You can determine that you are just aware of that, but don't make any story now with that. And don't identify anything at all. The important thing is to acknowledge what your awareness is. Your awareness is not the impression or the sensation you're feeling. The feelings are arising in the awareness itself, but they don't define awareness. Awareness is like an intelligent space, like, if you can say like this. So allow the space for the revulsion to be there, but don't to hold on to it. Don't make anything more of it. It's just like a burp. Don't try and cover your mouth. Just let the burp happen. Okay? Don't swallow the burp. That's it.
I can breathe.
Yes.
A full sigh.
Yes.
Like I can breathe.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Something is just naturally tuning back in again to your natural harmony. But it's not a mental effort.
And then there's a feeling of racing and panic, like in my arms, like the sense of something frantic.
Yes, that's
like
okay.
I need to scramble, I need to fix.
Yes, no, that's just a thought that goes with the feeling. The feeling is independent of the thought. The feeling is just a feeling, but the thought is a habit to then somehow interpret the feeling in a personal way. Let the feeling just be the feeling. And stay neutral. Don't identify. It's just a sensation. Let it just bubble up and be expressed. But don't write any report about it. It's important to start just being aware of feelings per se, not the story or the interpretation your mind wants to give them. And don't give too much importance to what's showing up now, but more keep your power in just the neutral awareness itself. There's no shape to that. You're not in any particular time frame in this awareness. There's no past in it. There's no future in it. There's no present in it.
So how do I maintain or be with this awareness as a thought comes in, like the thought of, but I really could help them?
Yeah. But
observe.
Yes. This question, even how can this I is not true. This I is only thought. So I won't even pick up that question. How can I do? You're not doing anything at all. There's just the awareness. The awareness is not acknowledging any you to be doing or to staying in anything. There's nobody to stay as awareness. It is just here. It is what is. It is what you are already. Don't make that mistake now. That this question comes, how can I stay? How can I stay? And from here, direct my attention. All this is just the mind. Leave him outside. He's not needed. It wants to recreate an identity for you and get this identity to do something like stay in the self, which it cannot do. You are the self.
Somebody or something keeps waiting for something big to happen in the next second. It's a habit, but I don't know how not to do it.
Okay. I want to show you it's unreality. Wait and see if anything happens. If something is there expecting something to happen, then just wait and see if anything happens, and you'll know whether this thing is true or not. So nothing happens. So it's just a lie. There's nothing there except the thought that something is going to happen. So just forget about these things. Here you're going to defeat all these things because you see how many thoughts are arising, and they're just throwing mud at you. And somehow they come like this, and either you take them or you keep recognizing, but that's just a thought. If you believe this thought, then it's going to take you into a job. It's going to put a uniform on you and say you have to function like this now. So don't put on any uniform. Don't pick up any thoughts. Pay attention to the awareness you are and tell me if anything is lacking. Don't keep looking at thoughts to go for a reading of who you are. No, pay attention by yourself. You don't need thoughts to look at yourself now. Look by yourself and see if anything is missing. Are you sad? Are you lacking in something? Are you miserable? Are you only half a person? Look in yourself now and tell me, without thought. Look as the awareness.
Completeness.
Yes, completeness.
Complete.
Of course there's that.
Oh.
And that is how it's always been. It's as though your mind doesn't want you, your cultured mind does not want you to discover this. Because if you discover this and somehow you're faithful to your seeing in this type of nonsense mind cannot function anymore. Because it's like its cover is blown. It is exposed as only a kind of a very nasty distraction. This is your natural being. When the Buddha discovered this, when the Christ discovered this, they did not reject it. They didn't go back and say, no, I'm the son of a carpenter, I'm going to be a carpenter. No, they just saw this and they acknowledged that in themselves. When the Buddha saw this, he didn't say, no, I can't be like this, I can't be nothing, I'm a prince, I must go back and be a husband and a prince. No. They simply saw this and they acknowledged, thank you, my delusions are broken. This is not an experience like other experiences. All other experiences seem to have appeared to a person's experiences. This is not a person's experience. This is the experience of the self. This is the experience of the beingness itself, experiencing itself. This is what you are. Does this have a beginning? Does it have a middle? Does it have an end? Does it have a story?
No. It's kind of complete in itself.
Yes, complete in itself. This is true. Is this a kind of psychological trick?
I don't think so. There's still thoughts nibbling at the edges of it.
Of course they are going to. There's been a habit for so long. There's been a habit for so long. They're going to be nibbling around at the edges. But what can they nibble onto? Tell me. Look, let the thoughts nibble. Can they nibble at awareness? Can they take a bit of awareness out?
No, but they seem to compromise the experience of that awareness. to make me question it.
Like question what? That they are themselves perceived? The activity, the apparent activity of thoughts wanting to come in can somehow do something to the awareness to destroy the peace that is there? Then you better just invite them all and just say, listen, just do your best. Go on, see if you can disturb me. Go on, do it.
It sounds like Jesus or Buddha with the temptations, coming in.
Yes. This will be your own test, because you cannot keep on running under the bed every time the thoughts show up. There's nothing to hide from. Then say, come inside, come. Yeah. Can you be possessed by thought? What can a thought do to you?
I don't know. They seem to have great power sometimes.
No. This is old thought now. This is not a fresh thought. That's an old thought. You be a bit more original than that. You don't go pick up some old dirty straight thought. No. See what you are speaking now. Are they powerful now?
For moments, no, and then I feel like I'm fending them off with shields or something.
That's an idea. You as what? The only way you can do that is to become a person again. You're picking up a shield. A shield is an object. Who is going to be holding the shield? You're going to have to become an object again. Are you an object?
Moments, there's justness, just being, and then a second later there's this self that says, oh, look at that, cool.
That itself is looked at. Stay in your natural neutrality now. The mind is always going to keep calling you into shape, because that's the only way it can interact with you. That you go back again into the costume of a person, and this is what's happening to me, and yesterday this happened, and then how he said this to me, and then my son said this. You don't need this right now. You don't need this. Actually, you don't need this at all, actually. If you stay only empty of all intention, of all identities, you'll find that pure functioning just function. And something is fine with this. Your peace will not be lost. Do not be aroused by these thoughts that are arising, let's say. Of course, they are going to come, and they will test you, and you will transcend them. If you believe in them, then you will reshape yourself into another kind of object person. But you stay in this pure sense of being. Anyway, this is what is there, actually.
There are images that arise just by themselves in front of my eyes. A big circle, a huge square.
They are nothing. Get used to these things coming. They're nothing at all. Your mind is trying to still get a piece of the action by trying to find a job, to assess these movements in you, which are nothing at all. You don't need them. There's always going to be some movement there, because your body is here, the consciousness is here, the vital force is here. There's some movements are going to manifest. Don't keep going into them, writing any reports about them. It's nothing at all. It's nothing at all. So many things are happening in each day in front of your eyes, but you don't claim them to be anything at all, because you have no particular interest in them. But as soon as you identify, they seem to come alive with greater meaning and seem to relate to become significant for you. You need to understand this very, very clearly. There's nothing at all. You don't need anything at all. You don't need any identity at all. You don't need it. And still your life will unfold with all these identities. They can be superficial. They can be more playful. They have no depth in them. And when you pick them up and believe them to be true, then you see confusion comes again into you, anxiety, restlessness, all these things, unhappiness come. So better you leave all of this, throw it out. You don't need it to be with me also. And so because you don't need it to be here, you can then come into a pure conversation with me, and in the light of your own presence and your lightness of your own being, and see already the proof is here. If your son, being with your son or your husband or boyfriend draws you into becoming a person, then you must fight to stay as your being. First you stay as this being, like that. And don't give in so easily to these kind of fickle thoughts.
Well, thank you.
Very good.
I've missed you a lot.
Yes.
Somebody
Yes.
has missed you anyway, or nobody
Yes.
has missed you, but you have been missed.
Yes. It is good. Also, the feeling is mutual.
And thank you for making the time to do this. It means just a huge amount.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Love you so much.
You too, Mooji. Thank you for everything.
You're most welcome. That was a very important conversation, because she's so heavily caught. She has been, and I just had to say to her, I don't want to talk anymore about your son. Already we are in conversation for nearly half an hour, and all you talk about is your son and their problems. I want to talk about you. Talk about you. I don't want to hear any more about your son. You have to come back to you at some point. Your life cannot be about your son. It's a grown man, he has children and wife. They're not doing so well. It's not your problem, and just to bring it back again, and just to come back and to see that she can then refocus her attention and just to be present as the beingness, and start to re-experience again that she can be happy. You can be happy. You can be light. You can be life. Your son is still going to be there. He's not worse off because you're better. You see, he's not somehow, oh, now she's better. Oh, everything benefits. You clarify your aura, your presence. Everything begins to function better. Even your bloody houseplant will be, your goldfish will be happier, because you're in a good space. You come back to yourself again. But if you don't do this, everything around you is depressed. Even the bloody wood in the floor is depressed, because you're the only thing that really is life. And if your life becomes death, then what chance do even insentient things have? It's for me, it's an emergency. It's an emergency like that. To come out of this hell. What can hell be? They say fire. Oh, fire. You think fire is worse than this? This is fire. This is the fire of hell. This is the fire of hell, where this fire doesn't go out, it's just coming on. This fire is thought fire. Oh, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, oh, you're doing everything, oh, my children are going to suffer, oh, what's going to happen? Is there any more hell? Is there any fire, any physical fire that's hotter than that? That is hell. I think people would be quite okay to be into a hell fire if this was just a fire. But this fire, the fire of insecurity, of fear, of disbelief, of mistrust, the fire of jealousy, of rage, of anger, of judgment, the fire of doom and depression and doubt and resistance. This is the fire of hell. And it seems like there's something in it that you still keep you going there. You can't dismiss it. So it has to be that someone can pull you out, come out completely. Don't try and fix it. Okay? Don't try and do a makeover in hell. Don't try and do that. Just come out. Hell is not to be, healed. Hell is to come out of it.
Be one with this. Just be the witness. Be one with this. Just stay as the witness. Be one with this. Just be the witness.